Hello and welcome to SBK Edge Rush Extra, our Christmas special. You gotta love Christmas outside of the obvious, Tom Collins. And by the way, my present's in the post, I'm guessing.
Well, 100%. Yeah, we've got a present in there, Miami present for sure.
Let's see what you did there. I see what you
I
did
tell
there.
you what, that present will get better as well if you win this week.
I'll take it. I will take it. That's one of the games we're going to look at. That's kind of the other point about how great Christmas is right now when you relate it to the NFL. We got games coming out of our ears. I mean, I can't see a day where there isn't a game, quite frankly. Well, certainly is a jam-packed Christmas Eve, a Christmas Day special as well. So we have got a bumper SBK Edge Rush Extra for you. 4 games on the slate. How about we get straight down to business, starting with the Bengals, the hottest team in football right now, with apologies to the Detroit Lions. 6 straight rolling into Foxborough. I'm guessing, Tom Collins, and I know you like your weather reports, it's gonna be a frosty Foxborough, is my educated guess there.
Yeah, it's going to be cold, isn't it? I mean, I don't think it's going to be as cold as Lambeau Field was earlier this week when the Packers played, because I think it was minus 12 degrees Celsius from the English
football weather. Football
well,
weather.
I mean, yeah, I used to play in Wales occasionally, even when it was 0 or -1. I couldn't feel my fingers. So minus 12, I can't even imagine what that's like as a wide receiver, let alone as a guy who's taking hits constantly, or a guy even giving the hits, because I'm sure that hurts as well. It's going to be frosty.
It is going to be frosty, and that's a really interesting dimension, because this, of course, is not just one of the hottest teams in football right now, but one of the very hottest offenses in the game, and particularly through the air, because the ground game of the Bengals, it's all right, but it hasn't really got going to the level that they want. It doesn't matter if they're a top 5 point scoring offense when they got Joey Burrow and co. T. Higgins battled through an injury last week. He had his dream team of receivers back, but they're going up against a top 7 defense in points allowed in the Patriots. Are they going to need to rely on Mixon and co. a little bit more on the ground, do you think, in these conditions?
Yeah, potentially, because if you don't have a running game, then we know that this Patriots edge rushers are just going to be teeing off on Joe Burrow. Joe Burrow is going to be forced back in the pocket. The 5-step drops to 3-step drops. He's not going to have any time at all. As you say, T. Higgins is arguably a wide receiver 1, playing wide receiver 2 because of Jamar Chase's brilliance. Tyler Boyd didn't really show up last week. He had a great chance for a touchdown. Didn't manage to secure the ball then, but he's also a fantastic receiver. So lots of options on this offense. But I think Joe Mixon is the crucial element to whether the Bengals are going to beat the Patriots. As you say, the Bengals red hot. They've won 8 of their last 9, 4 at Paycor Stadium, obviously their home stadium, 4 on the road. They've just been spectacular. And in that only loss as well was it was a one-sided defeat, but at the same time, I think it was kind of expected, given they were rolling in to Cleveland that day. So yeah, the Bengals team, 3.5 points favorites. I think that's justified, but the Patriots are going to want to bounce back after what happened last week.
And let's not forget, my God, what happened last week. We got into that, of course, across on the Nat Coombs show at length with I and Mike Carlson, the Monday show. We get right into that. And you can head on over to our social channels as well, the NC show, if you want to see video from that to break down one of the more bizarre ends to a football game that you will ever see. And that is going to definitely antagonize Belichick. All this talk right now, let's please put a little bit of perspective on it all, Tom Collins. Bill Belichick is one of the greatest, maybe the greatest ever coach of all time. This team is still in playoff contention. I can't believe there is talk that he is maybe jumped the shark, is at the end of the road. Insert whatever you want there to say is Belichick done. The team is still in playoff contention. It is ridiculous. The offense, sure, is confusing. Mac Jones has regressed. The decision to give Patricia the reins, a head scratching. So 1 or 2 left field choices from Belichick, but he doesn't seem like he's nearly done. I can't believe that's that narrative flying around right now.
Well, when he had Tom Brady, it was all luxury, wasn't it? It was win after win after win. Oh, Belichick's fantastic. Brady's fantastic. These are the 2 best coach and player that we've ever seen in history. Since Brady's moved on, hasn't been easy for Belichick, but I'm sure that kind of just lights the fire within him. He's such a competitor. He wants to win game after game. And when you don't have the presence of the GOAT in Tom Brady, then you're going to have to do it a different way. They found a good running back in Ramondre Stevenson. Yes, they don't have a great wide receiver core. I mean, Jacoby Myers, that play aside from last week, we won't touch on it, but the horrific throw back to Mac Jones that made no sense whatsoever in the last second.
Right.
But aside from him, they haven't really got much outside. Belichick's going to want to win this game. And, this kind of game against a real red hot form team in the Bengals, right. It's the type of game that Belichick
made for
wins.
Belichick, isn't it? At home, I can see that argument. The line is what, 3.5 at the time of recording? It's a dangerous number, of course. And I do think the ground game, which as we've established for the Bengals, hasn't been rolling. And this is a sturdy Patriots run D, but they can be got at in the secondary. It's not a great Patriots secondary. I think Burrow's going to make some hay. And I just don't think that their offense is going to keep up. No, and remember, we've talked about the Bengals streak. What we haven't talked about is how impressive the defense has been. All the emphasis on Joe Burrow and co in that second half comeback against Tampa Bay, and you understand why. But shout out once again to Lou Anarumo and everything that he dialed up in that second half to completely flummox the great Tom Brady. I think they're going to do the same thing. I don't think the Patriots offense has an answer for Lou Anarumo and this Bengals D at all. And so I think 3.5 looks tempting.
Yeah, I think that's very fair. Last week, the Tampa Bay Bucks put up a clinic in the first half against the Bengals. Then the Bengals scored a last-second field goal, took it to half-time. Then we saw a stop on fourth down, followed by 4 turnovers forced by the Bengals D. As you say, Lou Anarumo is doing a brilliant job this year. I think it's going to be a similar scenario in this game. I don't think the Patriots will get out to a lead like Tampa did, but I think it'll be close in the first half. Then we'll see the real offense of the Bengals come out in the second half. The defense will steady up. I just want to touch on one thing from last week as well. That battle between Jamar Chase and Carlton Davis, the Tampa corner, was my highlight of the whole week. I thought it was phenomenal. 2 great players going up against one another, fighting, but it was fair. There was no DK Metcalf, Jalen Ramsey, horrific sideshow with it. It was fair football, good football. And Jamar Chase has really gone up in my estimations because of that. And I think Chase is going to go off in this game as well. I think he'll be an anytime touchdown scorer.
Oh, you like that? Okay, I'm glad you mentioned that game once more as well, because that, of course, was my Drew Lock of the week. Sailed home. I'd just like to drop that in right now. I can take it while I can, quite frankly. I'm not going to go and double down and say anything close to this is near to my Drew Lock of the week in any shape or form. But I will say I do like the Bengals a lot in this spot, even with that difficult 3.5 line. Okay, next up, fascinating game. Eagles at Cowboys. Fascinating would have been anyway, but Jalen Hurts most likely not going to start. Now, the stories are flying around here. We thought he's definitely not playing. He might not even play, we're hearing, for the rest of the regular season. Then Sirianni's coming out and saying, well, he might play against the Cowboys. So we don't know, but we expect him not to play in this spot, which means, and I know you're excited about this, Tom Collins, Minshew time. About time. Minshew, where does Minshew stack? Because he's one of the most underpaid of backup quarterbacks. If you look at the deal that he's on, I think he's in the bottom 3 in terms of salary. Where does he rank, do you think, in terms of caliber of backups? He's got to be up there. In what?
Yeah, I think 5? I would say top 5, top 10 of backups. Obviously, Jimmy G would have been number 1, technically, if he wasn't, when he was a backup.
Well, they started the season with him as a backup, so he is.
Yeah, exactly. Gardner Minshew showed when he played for Jacksonville that he was a very good quarterback. Now, he's not a franchise QB in any shape or form, but at the same time, he's a guy that doesn't throw too many interceptions. He doesn't fumble the ball. He's a very safe player, but at the same time, he can create an offensive structure that actually works and puts up points for a team. So that's kind of what you want for a backup.
Yeah.
And the fact he's coming in here, I don't think it's a huge negative. Look, he's no Jalen Hurts. Jalen Hurts has been phenomenal all season, one of the best players in the league, but he's also not a John Wolford. He's going to help with this offense put up points.
Hey, what's John ever done to you, Tom? That's bad. That's a low blow. But the line is predicated on Hurts not playing. So do you think they are overestimating his absence? And Hurts obviously is in MVP form and he's been out of this world. The rise and progress that he's made, the only comparable I can give in recent years is Josh Allen, right? In terms of how he kicked on from where he was to where he is now. And Hurts, maybe he's done it in a more condensed period of time as well. So obviously a game-changing quarterback. So you would expect the line to change, but bearing everything you said in mind, the brilliant offensive line in front of him, Dallas Goedert should be back for this game. He's got pieces all around him. They're being a little bit too overcompensatory for Hurts' absence.
Yes, 100% I do. Look, the Cowboys are 5-point favorites on the spread, but this defense just hasn't rocked up in recent weeks.
Right.
Against the Jacksonville Jags, I don't want to go into this game. It was my Drew Lock of the week. I don't know what happened now. There were 17 points up at halftime. Cowboys, it looked like they were cruising.
Bad beat.
Yeah, bad beat alert. And then they somehow threw it away.
Crystal Tom Collins, surely. Crystal Tom Collins, you've got to get the train back on the tracks this week. I'm looking forward to your Drew Lock of the week over on SBK Edge Rush. We're not going to reveal it here. You're going to head on over to the Nat Coombs Show podcast to listen to that. You'll get back in the zone, and no doubt about it. You're still nailing the season. So what about this game? Do you think then, given that line is pretty generous, you're liking the look of the Eagles here?
I debated this when I was doing my prep for this game. I think the line is wrong. I think the line should be 3 points in favor of the Cowboys. But at the same time, I don't want to be taking Gardner Minshew just because, not that I don't like him and not that I don't think he's a good QB, but he's only made 2 starts in 630 days. Like that layoff for a start is a long time. A quarterback can easily change in terms of like how they're going to play, whether they're going to be so conservative. And also, this is kind of a switch as well. The Eagles are flying and he now takes the reins. So it's a big difference for the offensive line as well. I think if I was playing in this game, I'd be taking the over. Line is currently set to 46 points on both sides of the ball here.
Okay, I understand the risk factor, and maybe that prolonged absence, makes it too much of a risk. But if I was going to play, I would take the Eagles and the points. I would. I really would. I think, as you said, they're overcompensating, and the Cowboys indifferent right now. All right, Raiders, Steelers. It's going to be emotional at Heinz Field because of the passing of Franco Harris. This, of course, is the 50th anniversary of the Immaculate Reception, the Raiders against the Steelers. Franco Harris passing away age 72 just days before. So it is going to be understandably a very emotional Heinz Field. This, of course, is a Hall of Famer, a 4-time Super Bowl winner, one of the game's greats involved in one of the legendary plays in the history of football. Mike Tomlin, it will not need to get his players up for that, but they will be up for that. They will want to win one for Franco Harris. And also looking at the broader picture here with Kenny Pickett expected back as well, who's been protecting the ball very tidily in recent weeks. I was looking at the numbers here. So since the bye week, he's had 129 passes without a pick. So he is looking after the ball much better than he was, and certainly impressively for a rookie. It's going to be, speaking of frosty, it's going to be cold, heavy, gaily kind of Pittsburgh weather right now. So I like the Steelers a lot in this spot. Remember, Mike Tomlin has never been the head coach, presided over a team that's gone under 500. And at this season, a few weeks back, they're in deep trouble. The record could go. They're sitting here very much on for another 500 or better season for Mike Tomlin. Now, the flip side of this, the Raiders, a lot of buzz that they're still in the playoff mix. I don't quite follow how the Raiders are considered and being talked up as still in the playoff mix, but the Steelers aren't. We won't see quite how that works out, but I get the point. They both are mathematically. And of course, the Raiders will have Renfro and Waller pretty much back to full effect. So they're going to be able to cause some damage. I like the Steelers in this spot. What about you?
Yeah, I like the Steelers too. I think the fact that they're 3-point favorites, people don't really like that number because it's obviously a field goal, 3 points. But at the same time, I think that's quite lenient. I think the Steelers are a better side, and they've just been playing better football than the Raiders in recent weeks. As you say, the most important factor, not only the terrible towels and, the whole crowd's going to be supporting the Steelers even more this week, but also Kenny Pickett, or Kenny Don't Pick It Off is my new
I
new
love
name
that.
for him.
I love that, Tom Collins.
He's super efficient. This guy's a real good quarterback. He's building up to be a good quarterback. At the start, when he took the reins from Mitch Trubisky, he didn't really know his X's and O's, but now he's developed into a good mid-range quarterback, and I think he's only going to improve. Mitch Trubisky, not a fan of him. If you've watched the SBK Edge Rush on the Nat Coombs show in recent weeks, you'll know that because, I put the Steelers up as my Drew Lock of the Week 2 weeks back, and they lost to the Ravens in horrific fashion. Trubisky actually won last week, so...
there you go. All on Mitch's. Right. It's always the ways, and there are certain teams and particularly players, or specifically quarterbacks, that after a couple of bad beats, you just never go near again. Baker Mayfield, I'm looking at you. Baker.
And also the fact that he used to play for the Bears as well, it puts me off. I've never really developed that passion for Packers fan. But Pickett back in the fold really helps the Steelers here. They've been playing good football. They should have won 5 of their last 6. Unfortunately, it's just 4 of the last 6, as previously mentioned. The Raiders were the beneficiary of that horrific play against the Patriots last week. Sure. So they've got some newfound confidence, but at the same time, I think they're going to really struggle against Pittsburgh.
All right, last but by no means least, our team's going head to head, Tom. The Packers heading to Miami. Finally, the Dolphins getting back home. Let's start with, for me, the encouraging signs for Miami against Buffalo last week. Now, they have lost 3 on the bounce, and everybody's talking about the tailspin, and this is the wrong time to be losing games and going on tilt. Look at the teams they've lost in that 3-game spread. Tua definitely bounced back last week. Carson was quite critical of his performance on our review show, but I thought he was certainly much more composed than he had been, and crucially turned up in a game where nobody thought he was going to turn up. Well, many people thought he was going to disappear again because of the cold weather. didn't affect him at all. And that game would have been a completely different end result if his receivers had hung onto the ball, right? There are some critical moments where he was let down and the Dolphins threw that game away ostensibly, but they will take heart from the fact that they went to Buffalo and went toe to toe with the Bills in their own yard in those conditions. Raheem Mostert running all over Buffalo, surely the key to this game. It's one of the worst run Ds in the game right now. The Packers, what are they, bottom 5 in terms of run D? Back at home, I think the Dolphins are going to roll all over them in that respect. I think Tua is going to mix it up. But equally, I think that Rodgers and co will come to play. And I think the play here for me anyway is the over. I like the over in this one.
Yeah, the line's currently set to 49.5. So our traders are anticipating points. It's towards the top half of what you would generally see from an NFL game in terms of points for the over or under. I'm also anticipating points, though. I think my bet would be on the actual handicap, the spread. The Dolphins are 4-point favourites over the Packers. Loyal Packers fan, going for the Dolphins this week. Very much agree with what you're saying. I know it really does. And the only reason I've actually got this on this week is it's probably the last week I can wear this where we still have playoff hope. So I thought I'd done it this week.
I think I jinxed you. I think I jinxed the Packers about 4 or 5 weeks ago when I said you were 100% getting to the playoffs. I don't buy any of this decline, and here we are. But hey, it's still on, right? It's still on.
It's still on. We could win out. We've got obviously the Dolphins this week, then the Vikings and the Lions. 3 difficult teams to beat, but we have to win all of them to go 9-8. So there's still a chance. I don't think it's a big chance. I think the Dolphins win this week. I think Raheem Mostert is the key, as you just touched on. He was really good against Buffalo, running the ball like a proper top-tier running back, just producing holes and banging right through them as well, full power, Isaiah Pacheco kind of style. I really liked his performance. And as you say, the Packers just can't stop the run. There's just holes everywhere, gaping holes. I expect him to run through, notch a touchdown or two. And then it's just going to be really difficult for the Packers to come back from there.
I think it'll force them all. Well, obviously force them, because I think the Dolphins will blaze into an early lead. I think it'll force Aaron Rodgers to air it out. And I do see him landing some blows here because there's fallibility with this Miami D, as we know, as we've seen in recent weeks. So that's why I like the over in this one. But equally, I like Miami to cover as well. So it sounds like we're in agreement on that, most certainly. Other picks over on SBK Edge Rush. That's where you should head for lots more chat. Propo. He's got his tail up. He's feeling happy. Crystal Tom, you're going to get back on in the groove, I should say, and back on song, I'm sure, with your not only with your Drew Lock of the week, but with your Taylor Heineke Yaka. How's that looking?
Yeah, it's looking good. We've got 4 teams this week in the Taylor Heineke Yaka over on SBK Edge Rush on the Nat Coombs show. Christmas special. Why not chuck in an extra team? So hopefully that'll win. Love
that. What do you hope to get for Christmas from Santa, Tom Collins?
I mean, a Packers win against the Dolphins would be great, especially given it's on Christmas Day as well. That's a proper present, isn't it? Otherwise, just a happy couple of days with the family, lots of food, lots of sport. Really looking forward to it.
You're going to get in deep trouble when you're just sneaking off to watch the football all the time. I know I certainly am as well. I'm going to be 100%. Like holding the phone under the table like this, just sneakily watching what's going on. Well, enjoy. It's always good to catch up with you. Thanks once again for your stylings and profilings at Inside Edge. Remember, if you're a brand new SBK customer, bet £10, get £30 in free bets, but you got to be 18 plus, of course, and gamble responsibly. Be gambleaware.org. Enjoy the action, enjoy Christmas, and we'll see you next week. Bye for now.